wanted to take a second and pay tribute to and remember the late Marty Schottenheimer, who died on Tuesday morning. His family announced he was in Charlotte, North Carolina. He had been battling Alzheimer's for a pretty significant period of time, I believe, and finally passed away. You know, he's a look. There was a little controversy involving the Washington Post and a headline that they put up criticizing his lack of playoff wins. And I think it really, I don't know if that speaks to the general perception of Marty Schottenheimer, but when you talk to people who played for him and who coached with him, you know, he really is. And I hope maybe it'll be post-mortem, but probably should be a Hall of Fame coach. I mean, he has 200 career wins, one of 7 coaches to hit that number. Bill Belichick, Andy Reid, the other 2, you know, currently active guys, and then 4 who are in the Hall of Fame: Don Shula, George Hollis, Tom Landry, and Curly Lambeau. So, I mean, like, it's a pretty exclusive club, and Andy Reid and Bill Belichick are lockjob first ballot Hall of Famers. So you do kind of wonder, like, what does a guy have to do? You know, clearly a Super Bowl will boost your, you know, resume. Schottenheimer has more wins as a head coach than Chuck Noll, Bill Parcells, and Bud Grant, all of whom are in the Hall of Fame. He made the playoffs in 13 of his 21 seasons as a head coach. It's the fifth most playoff appearances among head coaches in NFL history. He won 62% of his games with the Browns. And I know that the Browns were better before they left for Baltimore and, you know, and all of that, but like 62% of your games with the Browns is pretty stunning. And, you know, 2 straight AFC Championship games with the drive and the fumble occurring against him. You know, when John Elway, the first one, Elway marched down the field and, you know, wins the game for the Broncos, and then Ernest Byer fumbles, you know, while about to plunge into the end zone for a win. So it's not like his team's curled up and choked in the playoffs. You know, they had some really bad luck. And then, you know, I mean, I talk about this game all the time. The 2006 divisional round when he coached the now is when I get it right, the San Diego Chargers, and they lose to the Patriots after Marlon McCree picks off Tom Brady, and then Ty Law creates a fumble, and the Patriots get it back, and Brady wins. I mean, that's not like Marty Schottenheimer not coaching his team well. It's bad luck against an all-time great that catches a bunch of breaks. That team went 14-2. That Chargers team did, and Marty Schottenheimer, with Phillip Rivers, by the way, and Marty Schottenheimer was fired after that game, which is pretty wild. Chargers have, you know, not had a whole lot of success since then, by the way, but you probably already knew that. He made 3 conference championship games, 86, 87, and 93. He has the second most wins as a head coach in Chiefs history, 101. They went to 10 playoff appearances from 89 to 98. And his coaching tree is crazy robust. You know, Bruce Arians, who just won the Super Bowl, he gave him his first job. Bill Cowher, who won a Super Bowl in Pittsburgh, and Tony Dungy among notable coaches, along with others. Arians was a running backs coach with Schottenheimer from 89 to 92. Cowher was his special teams coach, secondary in DC from 85 to 91 in Cleveland and Kansas City. And Dungy was a DB's coach in that same stretch with, you know, with Arians. I mean, like, you know, this is a guy who had a knack for finding talent, a very kind man who, by all accounts, you know, in my opinion, is just underrated. Like, I get the Marty Ball stigma. You know, he loves to run the football, and it, you know, carried itself over. A friend of the podcast, his son Brian Schottenheimer, who was, you know, former Seahawks offensive coordinator. You know, love to run the football. That's the approach. And you know, maybe it doesn't work in modern times, and maybe as football sort of evolved, people were less and less inclined to appreciate it. But the dude just won football games, and he inspired people. And it is a shame that he is somebody who won that often and that much is, you know, unfortunately pegged with, you know, a stigma of not winning in the playoffs when he went 5-13. You know, that's not great, but you know, 3 of those games, you know, never made a Super Bowl, but 3 of those seasons ended in crazy fashion. And, you know, where the teams would have made the playoffs, or what could have easily made the Super Bowl and easily won a championship. As you know, we'll talk to Dubin about, it's hard to win titles. And, you know, Marty Schottenheimer never got one, but probably a pretty worthy Hall of Fame coach. And unfortunately, if it happens, it will be without him able to see it. R.I.P. Marty Schottenheimer, gone at the age of 77.